What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Thing Goes back again with another video. I know it's been a couple of days, man. I just been kicking it, bro. I've been working on other things. Stacking my money up. I'm working on getting myself a new place. This whole time I've been living in my brother's spot and stuff. So, I got a lot of stuff going on. But I wanted to make a new Invincible video for today. I'm a little late on this. This article is 2 days old. They made this article on the 9th. Today is the 11th. But, all Invincible news is news. So I wanted to read this article to you guys. This is from Sci-Fi Wire. And it's written by Mike Avila, I believe that's how you pronounce his name. It's Behind the Panel. The article is called "It's High Time Robert Kirkman's Invincible Got the Respect It Always Deserves." Now, I definitely agree with that. I apologize if y'all hear some music in the background, too. I don't know if this, underneath me or next to me, but my neighbor is turning up right now. So, if y'all hear that in the back, you know what I'm saying, just try to pay no mind to it. But anyway, like I said, the name of the article, it's high time for Robert Kirkman's Invincible, got the respect it's always deserved. And I definitely agree, So let's go through this real quick. So it says, now that we've gotten our first look at the Invincible animated series on Amazon Prime, it had me remembering at a time when the Robert Kirkman comic book that was generating the biggest buzz had nothing to do with zombies. Invincible, the Image comic book about a teenage superhero co-created by Kirkman and artist Cory Walker, debuted in 2003, months before The Walking Dead. 18 years later, it's still hard to overstate just how fresh a take on superheroics it was. Kirkman's clever Kirkman's clever subversion of many typical superhero tropes combined with Walker's bombastic art, and that is his replacement, Ryan Ottley, gave us the best new hero comic that we'd seen in at least a decade. The book was, in its purest form, a modern take on Superboy, but in many ways, Mark Grayson, the titular hero's alter ego, seemed to be a spiritual descendant of Peter Parker. Now, remember when I said that in previous videos? I stated this multiple times, but if anybody didn't hear me say this, I will state it again. The perfect way to explain, really quick, if you want to just spitball it to a friend or somebody real quick in passing, the biggest way to compare or let people know what Invincible is it's pretty much like Superboy or Superman combined with Spider-Man. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like a mixture of the two, with his personality being more like Peter Parker, more akin to Peter Parker, and with his power and move set being more like Superman, just without the ice breath and the laser eyes and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? No heat vision and shit, but he pretty much got everything else. That's the best way to describe it, to where you don't go into too much detail for your average person to understand what Invincible has to offer. Now, the ongoing narrative had massive twists, great character development, and jaw-dropping violence that readers really weren't used to seeing in a book about a superpowered teenager. Exactly, bro. I couldn't have worded it better myself. All right. As word spread about this new hero with the awesome costume and seat of your pants storytelling. I said seat of your pants. First time I've ever heard that. But seat of your pants storytelling, sales increased and the buzz grew. It was a comic that seemed to be a no-brainer for Hollywood, which was then just beginning its long infatuation with comic adaptations. Options were sold, checks were cashed. In fact, during my first visit to San Diego Comic-Con, I recall interviewing Kirkman at the Image booth for a video feature I did for NBC on comics and the movie business. We talked about how Invincible was on the fast track at Paramount. Not a word was spoken about The Walking Dead then. That's crazy how Invincible was literally in the works with Paramount, or at least in talks with getting some kind of movie deal as far back as 2003 or 4, or maybe even a little after. I don't know exactly the date, but the series started in 2003. We all know that the Walking Dead series didn't start until 2010, so it's just interesting to see that Invincible is actually in talks to get more done Like, you know what I'm saying, before The Walking Dead was even a thing. So that's very interesting. It's cool to see that they've been trying to get this off the ground for a while. I'm glad that they waited and, release it when it's ready. You know what I'm saying? Like when they have more resources at their disposal to make the best possible adaptation that they can. I'm glad that, you know what I'm saying, it came when I'm guessing it was supposed to. You know what I'm saying? Everything happened for a reason. Fast forward more than a decade, The Walking Dead became a television institution while the fast tracked Invincible film got derailed, like I was just saying. The comic book series kept rolling until 2018, when Kirkman brought the series to its conclusion with issue 144. It received its share of celebratory send offs and write ups that tried to put the series in its proper historical context, but it all seemed to be rather lacking. Then again, I've always thought Invincible didn't receive the appreciation it deserved for what it achieved. Now, I definitely agree with you on that, good sir. I feel like Invincible is one of the most underrated modern comics that we have today. Almost everybody that I talk about Invincible have no idea who the character is, what he does, or how long he's been around. Hasn't even seen a picture of him before, or none of his fights, none of the issues, none of the cover art, nothing. It's completely brand new to them every time I show somebody about this. And they're always amazed at the quality and how good it is and how they never knew about it before. I have a feeling that that is definitely going to change very soon. Next month. I think people forget this, bro. Even Invincible fans. How close the premiere of the animated series really is. Next month on March 26th! It's starting, bro. It's starting. The revolution. And I feel like pretty soon a lot of people are going to know who Invincible is, what he does, and what he about. The exact opposite of the problem that he's been dealing with for so long. You know what I'm saying? Like, Invincible ain't going to be underrated for that much longer. Rest assured, bro. I can feel it in my bones. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. It received its share of celebratory send-offs and write-ups and that tried to put the series in its proper historical context, but it all seemed to be rather lacking. Then again, I've always thought Invincible didn't receive the appreciation it deserved for what it achieved. Perhaps it has to do with longevity. It's hard to sustain buzz for a decade and a half, no matter how good your comic book is, and Invincible was remarkably consistent during its run. That's another thing that I really didn't touch on. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer given how I talk about the series in such a high regard, but one thing that I really do have to point out about Invincible that I always loved about it and what really makes it stand out amongst other stories is that it, for the most part, remains consistent all the way through. The story doesn't really let up. It stays consistent. It stays going in the trajectory that it intends to go, and it gets to all the story beats that it intends to get to. Now, it might handle some of those story beats a little lackluster. You know, there's a couple of decisions that I don't agree with, things that I probably would have done different, or characters that I probably would have given more time to. But overall, I feel like Invincible kept a consistent good tone all the way through the series, and that's very hard for a lot of series to do. Usually, you know what I'm saying, you have series that might start off strong and end on a whimper, or start off on a whimper and end off strong. Personally, I prefer the second one because we all don't want a Game of Thrones situation, or in the spirit of this conversation, to make it relate more, we don't want another Walking Dead situation. Now, whether you like Walking Dead and the current state that it's in, that's up to you. Me, I feel like the show fell off after like season 6 or 7. You know what I'm saying? Really, right around Negan came, which is ironic because I thought Negan was gonna turn the show up. He ended up being in the show and kind of like bringing it down. But that's really just my opinion. I don't want to spin off just talking about The Walking Dead. You know what I'm saying? That's a whole nother can of worms, bro. You know what I'm saying? But let me get back on this. But it deserves more praise, definitely. Even beyond its upcoming Amazon adaptation, it was a legit game changer for the industry. A game changer, that's what I'm talking about. A complete game changer for the industry. I definitely agree with you, good sir. Introducing a new superhero with staying power is hard enough to do at DC or Marvel. doing it as a creator-owned property is downright monumental. Yeah, bro, we shouldn't understate that, man. I think even I've understated that a couple of times. But I think the reason why it's never really occurred to me how big of a deal that was is because even though I do have a lot of characters that I'm a fan of and I do enjoy at DC and Marvel, I've never really been the biggest of Marvel and DC fans. I've always been that weird dude that likes obscure stuff or likes stuff that people don't really talk about like that. So I've always been more of a fan of Image and Top Cow anyway. You know what I'm saying? Boom Comics, you know, like the comic book publishers that not that many people know about or talk about. Those are always, that's always been like where I, normally read my stories and, you know what I'm saying, like base my headquarters and shit, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? I love the obscure shit. You know, I don't really like super mainstream stuff. Like, shit, some of my favorite comics, Spawn, Witchblade, The Darkness, you know what I'm saying? Deadly Class, like, bro, like, shit, Fear Agent, and most of that shit is in Image. You know what I'm saying? So that's just how I be, bro. You know, I don't really I like, don't get me wrong, I like a lot of characters from DC and Marvel. Hell, I love Spider-Man inside and out. Constantine is one of my favorite characters of all time. Don't get me wrong, like I said. But I've always been more of an Image Comics dude anyway, so I guess that's why it's never really stood out to me how amazing and huge the fact that Robert Kirkman managed to get an, you know what I'm saying, a creator-owned comic to be like breaking so many, you know what I'm saying, boundaries compared to like Marvel and DC characters. I mean, I'm not saying that Invincible surpassed these niggas, but the fact that he even got anywhere close to their same level of stardom is a feat nonetheless. You know what I'm saying? That's what they highlighting here. And I just wanted to go ahead and say that myself. Now let's see. When it debuted, Invincible was the most successful new superhero comic launched since the original Image Comics titles. Now look, you about to say it right. I also wanted to throw out there Savage Dragon. I need to get back on that. I only read like the first 5 issues, but they mention it here, so I want to throw that out as well. That's another OG comic from Image that I got respect for that I definitely need to check out. Let's see. Out of those books, let's say, when it debuted, Invincible was the most successful new superhero comic launched since the original Image Comics titles. Out of those books, only Spawn and Savage Dragon remain relevant. Invincible had an uninterrupted 15-year run that could easily have lasted that could easily have lasted years longer if Kirkman hadn't decided to end it. The success of the comic showed that superhero stories could thrive outside of the big two of their library of decades-old heroes. Invincible proved that there is still much gold left to be mined from capes, and future creator-owned titles like The Boys and Jupiter's Legacy are just a few examples to back this up. The creator-owned space allowed Kirkman to take narrative risk you could never do with DC or Marvel characters. That book blew minds. Oh, okay. That book blew minds on a monthly basis. The way he wrote it for a second, I was like, well, hold on, bro. It said actions had consequences in the Invincible universe, and they wouldn't just get reversed in a few months due to a storytelling whimsy. When I watched the first footage of the animated series a few weeks back, I wore an ear-to-ear smile. Oh, that's great to hear. Okay, so I didn't know this dude seen footage from the show, bro. He just straight up letting us know right here. I like what he said right here. Let me reset that again. When I watched the very first footage of the animated series a few weeks back, I wore an ear-to-ear smile. That is very good news. I'm probably gonna be just like this too, bro. All time it's on, bro. You know what I'm saying? Not just because I was in love with the sharp animation or Stephen Ewing's voice work as Mark/Invincible, but also because I know what happens in the comics and the unexpected detours the story takes. I envy the people who will watch the series and be completely blindsided by the awesomeness that is fast approaching, because a lot of the folks simply aren't ready. And they really aren't, bro. Like, if you know what this nigga talking about, man, issue 12, issue 13, y'all not ready, man. You know what I'm saying? I cannot wait to see the collective audience's, like, response, bro, when this shit happens. Like, it's gonna be dope as fuck to, like, dissect and really, like, see reactions. I mean, if anybody even watched this shit, to keep it real. Let me see. The Invincible comic at times seemed to be a response to the frustration some comic fans had with some of the routine behaviors that became accepted in comics. In this world, it wasn't always as simple as good versus evil. Sometimes the shades of gray or a particular situation couldn't be ignored. Kirkman didn't shy away from that. For a comic that had a silver age like reference for the out of costume character beats at times, Invincible had a breathtaking amount of violence. It became such an undeniable part of reading Invincible that Ryan Otley has turned bloodied head sketches of Mark Grayson into a staple of his convention appearances. Kirkman himself summed up the comic in the best way possible during an interview I did with him in 2017 when he said, "It's everything I've ever wanted out of a superhero book, but we zig where other superheroes book zag." Oh, well, okay. I like that quote. I like that. Let me re-say that, bro. So he said that Robert Kirkman really summed up the story of Invincible in the best way possible back in 2017 in an interview when he said, "It's everything I've ever wanted out of a superhero book, but we zig where other superhero books zag." Bruh, if that ain't some fuego, I swear to God, that's some fire right there. What he just said makes so much sense. I couldn't have worded it better myself, bro. I really feel like Invincible is doing a whole lot of zigging where a lot of other comics is zagging, bro. Like, I fuck with Invincible, and I like that whole quote right there. But he's definitely right, bro. That's why Invincible always stood out to me. I felt like it's like one of the perfect. Like, it's not perfect, don't get me wrong, but it damn near close, though. It's one of the best superhero comics I ever read, man, just because of the fact that it just take the gloves off, bro. It don't bullshit you, man. That's the main, like, that's it right there. It don't bullshit you, bro. That's what I like about Invincible. It's just straight up with the shit. You know what I'm saying? Raw, you know? My hope is that the animated series becomes a huge hit that gives us several seasons to explore classic storylines like the Viltrumite War, yes, the time jump, and of course his relationship with his father Nolan, which is complicated. Hell yeah, bruh. I agree with you on every word. I really do love this article. I'm gonna be honest with you. Reading this article with you guys on this video was my first time reading the article. I've had it saved on my phone for quite a bit, and I just now went through it. I wasn't expecting to enjoy reading that article that much, or like, you know what I'm saying, for him to say the stuff that he said. I really fuck with this dude, man. Most articles I read, you know what I'm saying, it's cool. It's mostly information I already know, and I'm not saying that this wasn't information that I already knew. There was a couple of things in there that I didn't know though, like the quote and shit like that, bro. You know what I'm saying, or the fact that the movie has been worked on for that long. Like, it was a couple of the good little nuggets up in here, man. So like I said, usually with most articles I read, I already know the information that's in there. I'm just sharing it with y'all. And then it's kind of like delivered in kind of like a way. So, you know, I don't really enjoy reading it that much. It's kind of more like routine. So I try to throw whatever I can in to spice it up. But I really enjoyed bruh's article. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this was a good article. I enjoyed reading it. I like the information out of it. And I agree with every point tremendously. I really feel like Invincible is going to change the game. Please, bruh, hit that subscribe button and join me, Thingos, on this journey with Invincible and a lot of other stuff that I talk about. You already know, games, manga, movies, bruh, TV shows, what have you. I'm really into crime dramas. I'm working on a review for Sons of Anarchy, and you already know you got Snowfall about to come back soon this month. I'm going to be talking about that as well. So, man, let me know what you think about this video. Like, share, dislike, subscribe, and hit that bell to be notified for more videos just like this one, bro. Let me know what you think about this article and what you looking forward to most with the Invincible animated series. And I hope you're having a good day, night, wherever you are. And until next time, peace. Oh yeah, by the way, I will be putting out my Attack on Titan video. If not tonight, probably tomorrow. I know I'm a little late on that. Honestly, I don't want the series to end. I'm kind of holding back on reading that shit a little bit, bro. I ain't gonna lie. But I'm gonna go ahead and knock it out, do my live reaction and reading and review. If, like I said, not tonight, tomorrow. So make sure y'all stay tuned for that, Attack on Titan fans. And yeah, man, hope y'all have a good one. Peace.